this is the book review. I'm going to talk a little bit about our fourth book in the book challenge, the 52 book challenge, Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi. And if you haven't, before I get into the book review, if you haven't seen the announcement, last night, I gave a preview of the announcement, and today it was official. We have a relationship challenge. So a 5-day free relationship challenge. Take a look at the link. Take a look at the challenge. It's a great challenge to participate in. Whether you are single, married, doesn't matter. We have some great speakers coming up on that challenge, and they're going to share a lot of great information. And if you know somebody that could benefit from this, definitely, share it with them, because again, they're high caliber speakers, and it's going to be, it's going to be good. It's going to be fun. And I want to learn a lot from it as well. So I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up next week. So please help me promote the event, share it to anybody that you know. So you don't have to really necessarily look for or make more time to achieve or to create new habits. You just have to look at the bad habits that you have, or the ones that are not really serving you, and you replace those habits with better ones. If you don't have a clear vision of what you want, it doesn't matter how many skills you have, you're trying to get, or how much knowledge you have, reading or studying and learning new things. If you don't have a clear vision, you're going to be wasting a lot of time, because without a clear vision, you can be just spinning your wheels, and you might feel like you're busy doing something, but you're not really achieving anything. So it's important to have a clear vision. And, we can live our whole lives really without having a clear vision. And I think that I blame that on just society in general, how if we don't pay attention, we start following a path that everybody is just leading you towards. And you just do things because they've been done before you and before you and before you. And then if you don't really think about what you're doing, you don't really have a clear vision. You're just following the path, right? That's been given to you. So you might feel like, so then you're trying to do the same thing that everybody's doing in one shape or form, but it might not be what you really want to do. And some people are successful and some people are not. And some people try to do the same exact thing because of that, and some people fail and some people don't fail. But the point is that you want to evaluate and really make an assessment of where you are today, and try to get some clarity in where you want to go, and see what is it that you're doing. What habits do you have today that are keeping you where you are, right? It could be at a good place or bad place, or, wherever it is that you are, but the habits define really where you are. So if you make an honest assessment of the things that you're doing, then you can take the next step, which is set yourself goals on what is it that you want to change, and then what do you need to do to make that change happen. In the second chapter, I remember that he started right away talking about setting goals and the importance of setting goals. And setting goals, goal setting is very important, again, because if you have a target, then you're less likely to go in random directions or go in circles, right? Having a goal, but it requires that you have a clear vision, right? Because that's another thing. You might set a goal and not really have a vision, and that's not really, that doesn't really work out that well, because again, if you don't have a vision and you just set a goal, it's going to be something like a mechanical thing that you'll do. Like, oh yeah, I have a goal, but I'm not really seeing it. It's just something that I'm just saying, just blurting out. One strategy that he shared in the beginning of the book is something that he calls the 7 levels deep, or 7 7-level deep exercise, and he has a website where he shares like a download where you can print out the exercise. And basically what it consists is of asking the question of why. You really want to define what is your why. And the strategy or the technique that he has is that you ask why 7 times, seven levels deep. So like, for example, if I ask you, what do you want to do? What do you want to be why do you want to be successful in business, for example, or in your relationship, or whatever, let's say in business, why do you want to be successful? So I ask you why, and then you give me an answer. And then what I'll do as part of the exercise is I'll ask you again. So if you answer the question of why, then I ask you why that. You're like, why the answer that you just gave me? And then you're going to give me another answer, another why. And then I ask you again, why that? So I keep on asking you why. Every time you give me an answer, I ask you why, but why, 7 times. There's something about the number 7 that once you start thinking, because the first time you say why to the question, it's going to be the same question, right? At the beginning, the first answer you give, the first why, is going to be very superficial. It's going to be the first thing that comes up. It might be something mechanical. It might be like a template or something that you're going to just say why. But then when you ask again the question, then you start thinking a little bit deeper and you give a more heartfelt answer. And you ask again the question. The more you answer that question, the more the answer of the why comes from the heart instead of from the head. And that's the key thing. Many times we're talking about what we want, but we're thinking about it, but we're not feeling it. Like, we think we want something, but then when you really ask yourself the question, there's a deep reason for being in a certain way or for trying to do something, and you might not realize that right away. So it requires you to think deeper. That was a good exercise. I think he explained it in the book, and so I've heard about that. And there's a book that I read about Start With Why by Simon Sinek. It's a good book. I'm not sure if we have it on the list, but that's a good book, Start With Why. But I never heard this way of doing it. Ask why like 7 times, the same, deeper, 7 levels deep. Good exercise. I encourage you to try that. And then he gets into, I'm gonna end with talking about the chapter 3, which he was talking about. And I like this chapter a lot. That there's a misconception that you have to improve your weakness. There's a misconception that you have to improve your weakness. That, if you have a weakness, you have to, train or learn new skills or improve, something that you're not doing well. And he was explaining, like growing up, he had a problem reading and writing, right? He wasn't very good at it. And he had a lot of teachers, or he had a teacher, put him down and tell him, basically insult him that he wasn't good enough. And, that kind of sticks, right? When you're a kid. And so this thing about trying to improve your weakness, I get it. You can spend your whole life trying to improve yourself or improve your weakness. And then what happens is that you disregard your strengths. Everybody, you have strengths and weaknesses. And what happens is that we tend to focus on the weakness more than the strength. And we want to be strong in everything that we do. And that's a problem. That's a misconception. That sets you back and you basically waste a lot of time because you're disregarding your strengths. So what you should be doing based on what, he's talking about in the book is that as a success habit is that you should focus on your strengths, not on your weakness. You do not need to improve your weakness. You focus on your strengths. And that is something that I think is very, very powerful, because again, I think it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to be perfect, seeking perfection in all these things that we're doing. But we have weaknesses. Some things we're not good at, and it's okay, but you are good at something else. And if you have something of value to give, right? Let's say you're a writer, or that was the example he was giving. He was not good at writing. So he was writing a book, his first book. And when he wrote it, he sent it to the editor to help with the editing. And the editor gave it back to him and said, basically, this is not a book. He said, this is like a conversation. And that put him down tremendously. But then he basically didn't give up on what he wrote. And he found somebody else, another editor. And basically he fired the first editor. He asked the second editor to, this is my book. This is my conversation or whatever I wrote. Just make it something that people can read. But don't change what it is. Don't change the essence of the book. And lo and behold, the editor worked on it and kept the essence of the book, of his writing, and it became a best-selling book. So that's where he gets into, what? If he would have stuck with the feedback that the first editor gave him, oh no, that book is no good. You didn't write. It was a conversation. Then he wouldn't have catapulted to what he is today, because that was his first book, and he has many other books, New York Times bestseller. So this happens a lot in life, that you might get advice from other people, that it's good advice coming from them, from maybe they have a good intention, but it doesn't define who you are. It doesn't define who you are. So you stick to your truth, stick to who you are. There's different, everybody is different. We don't have like one template that everybody has to fall into. So you want to focus on your strengths. If you have something of value to give, but you don't necessarily are a good writer, don't beat yourself up because you can't write, but you have something to give as a value, right? So you can have that value delivered in different ways. It doesn't have to be writing. It can be verbal. It can be, spoken, or you can just hire somebody to edit it for you. That's somebody else's strength, the writing. Yours might be something else. So that's just an example. And so I really, really like that about, that chapter that he was talking about. And focus on that. You want to get amazing at what you already good at. Focus on things that you are good at and get amazing at that. Don't worry so much on the things that you don't know about, that you're not good at. Those are false limiting beliefs that you have about your weaknesses. So, and the last thing is to filter the bad advice from people that are not qualified. Again, people may give you bad advice. It's coming from the goodness of their heart, maybe family, friends, anybody, colleagues. They'll give you advice, but maybe they're not qualified in that area, or maybe they have just a different opinion or flavor of doing something. It doesn't necessarily mean that is the one answer to everything. So just be careful with that, and just ignore bad advice if it's bad. Not bad in a bad way, just bad that it doesn't have to be one size fits all in terms of advice. Everybody has opinions, it's subjective. So that's really all that I have in terms of this book. I'm going to continue reading it, and maybe I'll share it again in another video. So I just want to leave you with that, and just to remind you to sign up for the relationship challenge, and go ahead and share this with a friend or a family member that could be, this could help them. I know a lot of newlyweds, young couples, but also this is good for married people, at any stage. I'm definitely want to join, and I'm going to join with my wife, and take advantage of this as well. So that's all for now. Hope you have a good evening, and enjoy the snow tomorrow if you're on the East Coast here. All right. So take care.